Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Arbis, and I welcome you to the SolidWorks tutorials. In these tutorials I'll teach you about how to use the software SolidWorks, and you can use this software for a bunch of things, like you can make 3D designs, you can create assemblies out of those, you can also make 2D worksheets out of those. So let's see what you get when you create a new document in SolidWorks. So you get three options right in the beginning. You can either create a part document. This is going to be a single 3D component or a 3D design that you can make. The second option is the assembly document. In this version, you can create and use different parts and combine them together in an assembly, or you can create sub-assemblies and combine them together in a single assembly. And the third section is a drawing section where you can create 2D engineering drawings from your components, from your parts, or from your assemblies, and you can have multiple views out of those, and you can create annotations and a complete engineering sheet that you can later on print. So we'll begin our tutorials with the parts section. So with the parts section, right at the beginning, you get the main work window, and you can see there's a small axis drawn right at the bottom left corner. This axis shows me the direction of my coordinates, like the z coordinates, the y and the x axis, and so on. In the toolbars, we have multiple toolbars that we can use to create different 3D components and 3D parts. And I'll elaborate some of these right now, and I'll use them in the coming videos. The first and the most important one is the features toolbar. The features toolbar has features like extruded boss or base. This can be used as a base feature for your 3D drawings, or you can create a revolved base, and I'll be looking into details later on. You also have other features like the swept base, which are disabled for now, the extruded cut, and other features like different holes. You can create fillets and chamfers in your part. You can create patterns out of those, and create ribs in that and whatnot. You can also add reference planes and lines in your parts as well. The second toolbar is the sketch toolbar. The sketch toolbar can be used to create 2D sketches using different shapes. These serve normally as cross sections to your extrusions and to your base features. For example, you can create rectangles, and also in the drop down menu you can see there are different types of rectangles that you can create, and you can use lines and circles and splines and arcs and ellipses, and you can create annotations as well. We'll look into the detail later on. Also, there are other toolbars like the evaluate toolbar, which you can create design studies. You can measure different distances in your design. You can check for interference in different parts, and you can have access to other components like section property, and we'll look into more of it later on. Then you can have other multiple add-ins, like you can have a 3D market experience add-in, and then there is a SolidWorks add-in. The
Create
SolidWorks
realistic
normally is
renderings.
used to create components or components for your electronic designs. There's the PhotoView 360 that you can use to. There's a Scan to 3D section in which you can take in 3D scans and directly can import them into SolidWorks. You can fill in different holes and features on them, treat it as a part, and then you can modify the design and then maybe run it into 3D printing or what if you want. There's also the motions add-in. Here you can do motion studies on your parts. You can see what degrees of freedoms you have in your design and how they can move. There's the routing section. Here you can create tubings or electrical routings for your design. There's the SolidWorks simulation section. Here you can have some load analysis, static studies about different loading sections in your work, and a SolidWorks toolbar. This can be used to have different kinds of predefined work parts like gears, fasteners, rivets, and this contains a lot of useful design components for you. We'll look into it later on. You can also create flow simulations, like airflow simulations. There's also something related with plastics. You can design that you can work with plastics, and there are a lot of other features. And SolidWorks also allows you to create computer-aided manufacturing steps from your drawing directly. So you can define your machine, you can define the coordinate system, you can set up your machine, and you can create basically the G codes and the M codes and paths for your tools and machining directly from SolidWorks. So this is a good feature. So for now, we'll be limiting ourselves to the features toolbar and the sketch toolbar, and we'll learn the others one successively as we move on. Next thing you need to see is the toolbar on the left section. This toolbar contains different tabs, and I'll briefly describe the function individually. The first one is called the Feature Manager Design Tree. This is going to contain different feature or different properties of your features that you're going to design in SolidWorks. For example, the first one shows the name of your part. That currently says part 3, but you can change it to whatever you like. And it can have history of your features that you create. You can attach different sensors on top of it to measure some data. You can add annotations on top of it, and also 2D notes if you like. You can select materials. SolidWorks has a wide variety of materials that you can select from, and choose from these materials to create different material properties. You have access to different planes like the front plane, the top plane, and the right plane. These planes can be used as a base starting point for your sketch, where you can begin working on the cross sections that you want to make. And finally, it also shows you about a region, and whatever feature I add into my part is going to be shown here as an individual component, and you can explore them individually. Next is the properties toolbar. In the properties toolbar, it's going to show you different properties related to individual features. So when we start with the features like the extruded boss or the revolved base, it's going to show some properties related to those, and we can select from them and modify those properties, and these properties are going to be helpful. The next one I'm going to discuss is the appearances section. Here you can actually change appearances of your parts. You can add colors on top of them, you can add decals on top of them, you can change the shape, you can add gradients on the shape, and this is going to be useful if you want to color some surfaces on a different level. And lastly, we have these small buttons on top. These buttons are some zoom selections, so you can zoom on an area, you can have some different views, you can create a section views, and we'll be using these buttons to our advantage when we want. So we can also change orientations and display styles, and hide some types of planes and components. So this was all about the features and the overlay that we're going to be using in SolidWorks. To sum it up, you have the main work area. You're going to be designing the part here. On the bottom left, you have the axis that shows you the direction in which you're going to be working. The features toolbar contains different features that can be used to create the 3D structure of the part. The sketch toolbar contains different 2D sections that you can draw for creating cross sections for your part. And the design feature manager design tree contains different features, and it manages the tree structure of your features. And the properties toolbar is going to be used to modify the properties of the features that you create and to change them to your will. Thank you. I'll see you guys around in the next video, and we'll discuss about creating a simple extruded base, and we'll see how you can look at it in different views.